Game right here. Dark Picture Anthologies Little Hope. Did you know that this Little Hope is inspired by the witch trials? If you have not played Little Hope, I would highly recommend it. If you like spooky games with a story, any Dark Picture Anthology game is really good. Their newest one, The Devil in Me, is based on serial killer H.H. Holmes. We're not going to talk about that one tonight. We touched a little bit about it, but Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope is a really good one, and I'll tell you what it's about. So present day, we have no witch trials, but back in the day, in the 17th century, the Salem witch trials were very popular back then. Lots of people were murdered and being accused of witches, mainly women and children. A few men were murdered as well. And it not only happened in the United States, it happened around the world, really starting over in the United Kingdom by most Protestant religion. And then it traveled its way down into the 13 colonies. I don't even think it was full United States yet when it trickled down into there. I'm not really sure. But this game, it tells the story to a certain extent. It's inspired by the Salem witch trials, or the witch trials at all. And it's got some really good actors in Little Hope. I don't know if anybody here has played Little Hope. Has anybody here played Dark Picture Anthologies Little Hope? Hi, RC. How are you? Now, Little Hope does take place in a fictional town, but it's still in the state of Massachusetts, where Salem and Andover witch trials happened. So those are the two places there that it actually happened. You're writing. Nice, RC. I know, but I have watched people stream it. I would highly suggest playing it. I really like Little Hope. I like Dark Picture Anthology games. I'm doing good, RC. We're discussing 5 indie horror titles that are based on or inspired by true events, because it is it's Halloween Indie Game Showcase this week. I am doing a charity run for the month with Stream for a Cause, and the title for this month is Scream for a Cause, and it raises funds for different organizations, different charity organizations. And so that's what we're doing here. I don't see my bot. Oh, my bot is working. If you did ! charity in chat, it would pop it up. You can read about it. You can learn more about Stream for a Cause as well. One of the next games, I don't know if you guys know about, but Resident Evil Village is inspired by Elisabeth Bathory. So you probably know Lady D. Anyways, Lady D, even if you've never played Resident Evil Village, you probably heard about Lady D and how many people were falling all over with her with love. And she's a tall biatch, like 10 feet tall, and she's a vampire, and she had vampiric children. She's an iconic evil mistress, and there was so many people falling at her feet. But she is based on Elisabeth Bathory, who was a noble woman who allegedly engaged in many acts of torture on young women before killing them. This stuff comes back in time. So with Elisabeth Bathory, that is what her Lady D's character is based on. She's also said to have bathed in her victims' blood, as well as performing other vampiric acts like biting their flesh off. Now, this is all hearsay because this happened many, many, many eons ago. And it's stuff that's been written down and handed down and storytelling. And you know how things can get convoluted. Supposedly, Elisabeth Bathory had murdered 300 women and tortured them. Her husband is also said to have gifted her clawed gloves to help punish servants. Lady D is a noble woman who has similar gloves for a similar torturous purpose, on top of a vampiric nature. She does, because she has 3 daughters. Her 3 daughters are also based on the servants who supposedly helped Bathory with her acts, 3 of whom were executed as a result, which is in history. So, goth Dami Mommy, Lady D. But I think all vampires are Kratos. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows TV show? Most likely people made up shit because she was a powerful woman. Well, they wanted her land. So, okay. Little quick history of Elisabeth Bathory. She was a noble woman, and she had all this land. Her husband had all this land, and things happened to him, and he's out of the picture. So back then, women, even noble women, had real no rights, right? You're a woman, they shat on you. So they wanted her land, and the only way to get her land is to have her imprisoned. And she was imprisoned. She was found guilty. They said that she murdered over 300 women, and she was imprisoned inside her castle. Inside her castle, blocked off in a room with a big wall. That's what she was locked into. Not yet, Brian, not yet. No one wants to stay one. Well, no, why would you, Kratos? You can have fun with everybody. Not yet, Brian's horror. But yeah, kind of crazy how Resident Evil Village Lady D is inspired by Elisabeth Bathory, supposedly one of the first women serial killers. Her numbers may be exaggerated again because men wanted her land. They wanted what she had, and the only way to get it was to get rid of her. They did not execute her because she would never leave her castle. The next game we're going to discuss is Silent Hill. Silent Hill is based on Centralia, Pennsylvania. Chuck Biscuit's old band. Okay, I'm not sure who that is. But Silent Hill game is known for their excellent, ominous atmosphere, making you feel tense despite the town's desolation. If you've ever wondered how the developers came up with the setting of Silent Hill, the answer to that is they were inspired by a real place. Centralia, Pennsylvania used to be a regular mining town, but it was soon abandoned after a coal mine fire broke out. Now it's pretty much a ghost town. If you went there, you might be able to feel how empty and foreboding Silent Hill felt to the game's protagonists. Supposedly, the fire in Centralia continues to burn even today. And that's kind of crazy to think about. What kind of catastrophe a mining fire would bring, right? It's like Chernobyl. That's some scary shit. That's a nuclear. That is some scary shit. I watched a documentary on Chernobyl. Really sad. I wasn't really aware of what happened. Yes, Silent Hill, that whole eerie thing, and so many other games that I've played in the horror realm have that atmosphere, that spooky, eerie atmosphere like Silent Hill. Colina's Legacy did that. Something Within. I can't think of it now. Hold on, I have the game next to me. Those Who Remain. That is the game. I could not think of it at the moment. Then I had to bend down and look down at my games there. Those Who Remain, which is a really good game. You can get it on Xbox and PlayStation. Another indie horror title. Not really based on any true events, but I figured it has the same spooky atmosphere as Silent Hill. Another spooky game that we're going to discuss tonight is Outlast. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware that Outlast is based on a true story, true events that happened. Project MKUltra was a project conducted by the CIA in which they tested drugs and procedures meant to brainwash and mind control humans. The fact that this was a real event in history is very friggin' disturbing as it is. But Outlast takes its inspiration from these events and amplifies them even more. If you haven't played Outlast and you like spooky games, I'm going to tell you Outlast 1 with the DLC, and then Outlast 2, and then the third game in Outlast is a multiplayer game that's very similar to like Dead by Daylight. Definitely fun games to play. Nice, DJ. Nice. So in Outlast, if you've never played the game before, you play as a journalist investigating an asylum filled with patients who were subjected to experiments similar to the MKUltra experiment. Needless to say, they're not in their right minds anymore and attempt to kill you at every turn, which they do. And there's lots of jump scares, lots of jump scares. One of the first games I ever streamed was Outlast, and oh my lord, I had bangs at the time. There are dead patients and staff alike within the asylum, and you have to come to the bottom of the investigation while dodging all the murderous inmates. And so you have this camera, video camera, that you have to look through. Yeah, they were inspired by that dead walk. Yeah, crazy, hey? The topics that we're talking about are 5 indie horror titles that are inspired or based on true events, and then new horror to watch or new horror to stream. That's what we're going to be talking about. The new horror to stream is coming at the end. But with Outlast, you have a video camera. This video camera takes batteries. It's the only way you can see through most of the game. It's dark areas. So you have to find these batteries all around so you can still continue to see. But in that time, you're also dodging these insane inmates that want to rip your face off. Then you also have to put together all the clues to figure out the game. The game is very eerie. It has tons of jump scares. So if you want to be scared and you haven't played Outlast, I'm going to highly recommend Outlast. But yeah, that MKUltra, it's pretty horrifying that is part of our human history. That I hope I don't get kidnapped by the CIA right now. It's just insane that we as humans have done this horrific shit to people. I probably will, puppy. Actually, we're going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's because it's also based on true events. Hi, Andrew. How are you? That goddamn battery. Yes. Oh my lord. I hated that battery. You had to find that battery, but try not to get murdered at the same friggin' time. So I would definitely highly recommend Outlast for you if you want to play some spooky indie horror title. The last game that I'm going to speak about is, you guys already know, Five Nights at Freddy's. And you guys know Five Nights at Freddy's is also coming out with a movie. And this is a jump scare full game. So Five Nights at Freddy's, who here has played it? I had the shit scared out of me numerous times. That blue bitch, I don't know what she is, but I will tell you what, she scared the ever-living crap out of me. Besides, I can't punch low enough to throat chuck you. Rod's BRB screen is definitely, my BRB scene is my FNAF proof that I've played it and I jump like a little bitch. Five Nights at Freddy's, we're going to talk about that indie horror title that is based on true events. So Five Nights at Freddy's. The settings of Five Nights at Freddy's is clearly reminiscent of the Chuck E. Cheese in many ways, and it's definitely not a coincidence. The inspiration behind the bloodthirsty animatronics is a real murder case that happened in 1993 in Aurora, Colorado. After closing for the night, 4 Chuck E. Cheese employees were tragically killed and 1 seriously injured while cleaning up when a former employee shot them, which is so fucking sad to hear that people lost their lives. But did you guys know that Five Nights at Freddy's is inspired by true events that did happen? Some of these I didn't realize, I wasn't aware of until I started researching them last week. And I'm like, there's a lot of games, a lot of indie games and a lot of non-indie games that have been inspired by real life events, tragic real life events. And I picked these ones because I loved these games. I've actually played them and enjoyed them. So each of the games that I'm talking about tonight, I actually have experience playing them. But anyways, in the game, if you've never played Five Nights at Freddy, you play as a security guard in charge of making sure everything goes smoothly every night. But when the place's iconic animatronics come to life, what you should really be worried about is yourself, because these sons of bitches got crazy teeth and they come at you without even knowing. It's disgustingly scary. Anyways, of course, the game wasn't inspired by the real animatronics gaining a sentience and killing people, because no, they really didn't come alive at Chuck E. Cheese, even though those friggin' Chuck E. Cheese animatronics were horrifying. I remember the first Chuck E. Cheese. I lived in New York. I remember going to that, and those things were scary looking. I mean, I'm sure they look better now and they probably have come a long way, but those mofos were scary back in the day. But it also goes to show the dark events grounded in reality can inspire horror that could only happen in fiction. So a lot of stuff that happens in human history is horrifying, and we pull inspiration from that. A lot of our horror movies are based and inspired off of mainly one serial killer who's not really a serial killer. He's more of a grave robber, is Ed Gein. I played the VR Five Nights at Freddy's. I can see how that can traumatize you.